The evolution of printing from the 1400s to today. Print has existed for thousands of years before the 1400s, but in the year 1440, the printing industry took a big leap forward. German blacksmith, goldsmith, printer and publisher Johannes Gutenberg commercialized the printing press. It relied on moving metal type. The text was composed by the typesetters to a composing stick, then onto the form. Then the ink was evenly applied to the form. The final step of the process was to press the rag paper sheet onto the form with the printing press, according to Diana Childress in Johannes Gutenberg and the Printing Press. In 1515, Daniel Hockford created The Soldier and His Wife. It is believed that he is the first to apply the etching technique to printmaking. This method of printmaking requires a metal plate to be covered with an acid-resistant wax. You then scratch off the area with an etching needle where you would like the lines to appear, explained by Bannister in Practical Guide to Etching and Other Intaglio Printmaking Techniques. A portrait of Amelie Elisabeth von Hessen. According to Carol Wax, this is the first known mezzotint print, dating back to 1642. You require a metal plate and a metal tool with small teeth called a rocker. This tool was used to create thousands of tiny dots onto the metal plate where you would like the ink to sit. You would then apply ink and wipe the plate clean, leaving the desired ink in the tiny dots. Once ready, the plate was then pressed onto whatever fabric you wanted your print on. 1796, German author and actor Alois Senefelder invented lithography using the theory that oil and water don't mix. According to Bannister and Senefelder on lithography, a lithographic limestone would be treated with fat, oil, or wax. Afterwards, acid was applied to the stone, allowing the artist to etch the area that they wanted to retain water. An oil-based ink was then applied to the limestone, which was absorbed by the image and repelled by the water. 1799, Louis Nicholas Robert invented continuous paper stated by Clapperton in the paper-making machine. Before this, paper was made one rectangle at a time. Robert's invention took unbroken wet sheets of paper and passed them through squeeze rollers. The continuous sheets of paper would then come out of the machine where they were manually hung to dry. According to Bridgman, in 1000 Inventions and Discoveries, in the year 1800, Charles Stanhope recreates Gutenberg's press with an iron frame instead of a wooden one. This made it a lot more durable, and it was able to print larger sheets. In 1817, Sir Malcolm Thornhill accidentally created the cardboard box. According to todayifoundout.com, one day he was printing an order of seed bags for a client when the knives used for creating creases shifted over and cut them instead. He then realized by cutting and creasing in the same operation he could create prefabricated paper boxes. Kellogg's was the first to use this innovation for cereal boxes. According to the book Father of the Comic Strip by Kunzel, in 1827, a Swiss man by the name of Rudolf Topfer created the first comic strip. In Europe, he was considered the creator of the picture story. The name of his first comic was The Invention of Obadiah Oldbuck. It was published in several different languages, and by 1842 it was published in America and was the first comic book printed in America. In July 1837, Godefroy Engelmann was awarded a patent for chromolithography. It stemmed from lithography. It is used to make a several color print as stated by Bamberg. The picture you see now is called The Old Woman Who Lived in a Shoe. It is a folding card created April 6, 1883. As stated in the Routledge Handbook to 19th Century British Periodicals and Newspapers, in 1875, Robert Barclay presented the first rotary offset lithography printing press. His press worked by covering the offset cylinder with specially treated cardboard that transferred the printed image from the stone to the surface of the metal. Afterwards, the cardboard would be removed and rubber was placed onto the offset cylinder. In 1938, xerography was created by an American inventor, Chester Carlson.
Prince the producer.
Xerography is to copy an image without the use of any liquid. In other words, a photocopier. The way it works is a bright light would positively charge the ink on a sheet of a paper that would attract an adhered powder. Afterwards, the paper would be transferred through rollers onto a plate, then onto the final sheet, according to Zanos and Chester Carlson and the development of xerography. According to Christina, in inkjet textile printing, in 1951, the Siemens created the first continuous inkjet printer. At first, inkjet printers were very costly, messy, and unreliable, but it is now known as one of the most common printing methods in the world. The inkjet printer requires a cartridge filled with ink. It then has several tiny dots, smaller than the radius of a human hair, waiting for a charge to signal them to drop tiny ink droplets onto the paper. In this image, you can see the paper starts from the right-hand side, passes through roller guides, then the ink is applied in the middle, then once again passed through the rollers out the door on the left. The first commercial laser printer was the IBM 3800, created in 1976 that was over $300,000. Like the inkjet, it is also one of the most common printers of our day. It works with a laser beam and a drum. The laser beam scans the drum back and forth, creating the type with static electricity. A powder called toner is then applied to the static areas, creating a visible image, according to Kathy Chin in the newspaper article, "Printers Affordable at Last." In 1984, the geniuses at Adobe created revolutionary software called PostScript. In the early printer days, printers were only able to produce text in simple shapes. Thanks to PostScript, it converted images into code that printers understood in order to create high-definition images, according to a typographic workbook, a premiere to history techniques and artistry. This picture shows 3D printing creator Chuck Hull standing in front of a car rim created by his printer. He came up with the idea in 1983, but right when he was about to patent it, French inventors beat him to it. Later on, they abandoned the idea, thinking that it lacked use, and Hull immediately took hold of it in 1984, according to Micallef in The Beginning Design for 3D Printing. There are many methods of 3D printing. Fused deposition modeling is one of the most common forms today. It works by adding layers of plastic or metal film that unwinds from a coil. In 1993, a revolutionary printer came to the market. It was called Indigo, created by Benny Landa, founder of Landa Corp. This changed the printing world. People were able to create full-color prints from the comfort of their desktop. The printer used electro ink to apply small liquid particles onto paper, creating a plastic-like film called polymer, stated by Romano in Digital Printing Pocket Primer. Printing is consistently developing, but we see less and less as the digital world develops.